karena hal ini dia dapat melupakan negaranya guys. Bahkan dia mulai menangis. Kebingungan ya. Begitu sangat aneh dia rasa. Karena apa? Hal semacam ini ya di Malaysia yang dia coba tak pernah dia jumpa di Kanada. Makanya dia tak berhasrat lagi untuk balik ke negara itu guys. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan selamat datang, selamat berjumpa kembali bersama saya di sini Indra SFN yang tentunya akan selalu setia menyapa teman-teman semua di sana. Semoga kita dalam keadaan baik-baik saja, sehat senantiasa jasmani juga rohaninya, serta segala bentuk pekerjaan, aktivitas, kegiatan apapun yang kita kerjakan. Semoga diberikan kelancaran dan kemudahan oleh Tuhan yang Maha Kuasa. Amin amin ya robbal alamin. Oke, baik, di sini rupanya ada satu kisah, satu cerita yang menarik ya, yang membuat saya ingin mengangkat kisah ini pada video kita kali ini guys ya. Oke, ini terkait tentang turis asing yang ada di negara Malaysia, yang mana turis ini berasal dari negara Kanada ya guys ya. Jadi dia di Kanada dan beberapa waktu dia di Malaysia dan mengaku sebenarnya dia tidak ingin meninggalkan negara Malaysia karena dia merasa hatinya sudah tersentuh, pikirannya sudah terbayang-bayang dengan apa guys? Dengan kebaikan orang Malaysia yang dia akui tidak akan pernah dia jumpai dimanapun tempat yang pernah dia masuki guys. Ini adalah pengakuan dari orang Kanada tersebut. Tapi suatu hal yang lain di sini ya, karena selain hatinya tersentuh, rupanya di sini ada kejadian-kejadian unik yang pernah dia rasakan, yang mana dia mengaku ini adalah hal yang tidak masuk akal, dan ini adalah hal yang mustahil, aneh, pelik, beda, dan betul-betul membuat dia rasa kebingungan dengan hal yang baru saja dia saksikan itu guys. Dan dia rasakan memang sangat pelik lah. Nah, di sini guys ya, yang sangat uniknya bahwa di balik perasaan yang tersentuh tadi ada hal yang penasaran nih guys ya, yang dia rasa aneh dan dia rasa bingung di Malaysia. Nah, campur aduk perasaan itu, kita akan saksikan pengakuannya guys ya. Hal apakah yang membuat dia rasa pelik saat di Malaysia selain dari rasa tersentuhnya tadi guys. Kita akan saksikan video itu sekarang juga.
First impressions of Malaysia, Mom. What did you experience? What was the number one most culture shock you had living in Malaysia for the past 2 weeks?
Well, I would think that it was the food, and to be more specific,
Sure.
the rice. They eat rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And for breakfast, they may have chicken, they may have beef. It's a full, what I would eat for dinner, they eat for breakfast, and then just keep lunch and dinner.
Rice and rice and more rice.
Rice and rice and more rice, exactly. Now it's good, but boy, they eat a lot of rice. They do. Another thing goes along with the food is that they eat with their hands.
Yeah.
And I find that very, I won't say strange, but it sounds terrible, but very different than what we would do at home. What me as a Canadian would do at home.
Fair.
We went to a nice restaurant last night, a fancy restaurant, and everyone was there, was a lot of people were eating with their hands. I just find that.
Yep. Even a
Different.
good family at a fancy restaurant, you got the mom, the dad, and 3 kids, and they're licking their fingers and eating rice with the hands.
They do. So one thing I'm going to try before we leave is to eat a meal with my hands.
Okay.
I'm going to try.
To be clear, in Canada, you might eat chicken wings or pizza.
Absolutely. Chicken wings, pizza, French fries.
Yeah.
I mean, we do eat with our hands.
Yeah.
But definitely rice and ripping apart the chicken with our fingers, that would not happen.
Yeah.
For me, for us, for Dad and I.
Okay, so in terms of the food, what's your favorite Malaysian food so far? Is there one that stands out?
Oh boy. Well, I really like the roti canai.
Uh-huh.
It was delicious with the curry sauce. And in fairness, I ate that with my hand.
Good point.
And it was fine. It was delicious.
Fair.
And going along with that is our first breakfast in KL. We go to that store, that
Yeah, it's
restaurant.
like a warung. It's like a simple eatery for roti canai.
And the gentleman who was making the roti canai he was so friendly. He bumped us up in the line, knowing that we're tourists. And then at the end, someone paid for our meal. A gentleman just came up and said, "I'm paying for you." That would not happen in Canada.
True.
In where I live, that would be. I won't say it never happens because I'm sure it has.
Yeah.
But that would
Oke,
be
kita
very
pause di sini dulu guys ya.
uncommon. Whereas I
Kita
think
pause
here
dan karena
in
saya
Malaysia,
ingin
it's
tahu ya.
very
Oke, kita
common.
pause dulu. Pause. Karena saya ingin tahu ya sebenarnya ini lokasinya di mana guys. Sungguh begitu cantiknya di tepi kolam berenang itu guys ya. Nah, di sini kita fokus kepada Mina Saleh ini guys ya. Bahwa turis ini kita lihat wajahnya begitu sangat kebingungan ya. Begitu sangat aneh dia rasa. Karena apa? Hal semacam ini ya di Malaysia yang ia coba tak pernah dia jumpa di Kanada. Makanya dia tak berhasrat lagi untuk balik ke negara itu guys ya. Cukup di Malaysia saja. Banyak yang ia temukan hal yang beda, hal yang lain. Tentunya hal itu akan mulai dia sukai dari sekarang guys. Kita akan saksikan apa saja yang akan ia katakan selain dari kuliner ini guys. Oke? Kita tancap gas. Play.
They got some good hospitality.
Absolutely. People are so kind.
Okay, how have you been handling the spice level? I'll say you've been handling it pretty well.
I've been handling it pretty well. I do try.
Yeah.
And after the first bite, if it's over the top, I just don't eat anymore. Have not had any stomach issues.
Good.
Everything's been fine.
Good. Usually we put the sambal on the side, and then you can take as you
Absolutely.
prefer.
Yes. And I don't mind. The food is very good.
Yeah. Flavorful.
It's very flavorful. I don't think there's anything. There's so many different foods that I've tried. So many different foods.
Yeah, one thing too is the recipes are very complete. So in Canada, on the table you have salt, pepper, vinegar, things you might add. In Malaysia, they bring the recipe out and you don't add anything.
Oh, that's another thing too, I would say,
Yeah.
is that there's no salt and pepper on the table. Anywhere.
Yeah.
There is no salt and pepper.
They prepared the food with every ingredient you need.
Absolutely. And eat it as it is.
Yeah, absolutely right.
And then you can add the extra spicy stuff and all that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. No salt and pepper.
Okay, so we've been to the restaurant now. We've had some culture shock. Now after the restaurant, you might go to the bathroom. Has there been any culture shock in the bathroom?
The bathrooms are very different here. The first time we went, we went to the washroom, Ivana and I went to the bathroom at the football stadium, and it was a squatter toilet. It was a big hole in the floor. I look at Ivana and go, "Okay, help me, what do I do?" It was funny. And we both laughed. And it was fine. They have the hose.
Yep.
Which
Have
I-
you used the hose?
I have never used the hose, and that's one I will not use the hose. We would have water everywhere.
The ceiling?
And I have a question.
Sure.
For after you use the hose, there is very rarely toilet paper.
Right.
So what do you do? Stay there for an hour and drip dry? I mean, I'm sorry if it sounds rude. I don't mean to be rude. It's an honest question. What do you do?
I think the idea is you would use a hose and then you would wipe the water away. Although you probably have to bring your own tissue because it's generally not much tissue in the bathrooms in Malaysia. I mean, there's some, but it's hit or miss.
And why is that? Because they just don't provide, or
It's just not
because
there.
it's just common that you would bring your own?
I think people just bring their own. I will say this,
As
Mom.
a tourist, not knowing that,
I will say this, Mom. You know me, I was born and raised with no hose.
absolutely.
I won't tell you what to do, I won't push you in any direction, but the hose is really the way to go. Big fan of the hose. When I first came to Malaysia and Southeast Asia in general, I was nervous about the hose. I didn't use it for months. And then one fateful day, I tried the hose, and
Did the water go
I'm
everywhere?
pro hose.
Did the water
Wow,
go
dia
everywhere?
pakai
My first experience was a total disaster. It was very embarrassing. I didn't realize the pressure in the hose,
bola ya
and
guys. Harimau Malaya guys.
my shorts and underpants, everything got wet.
Well, I would be scared of.
But once you get the hang of it, Mom, the hose is the way to go. For what it's worth.
For what it's
Okay,
worth.
so we've been to the restaurant, had some culture shock, went to the bathroom. Now it's time we hop in the car and start driving. What's been your impression of the Malaysian roadways, Mom?
First of all, I have to add one more thing as far as the food.
Sure.
You also eat with a spoon.
Oh, good point.
So you eat with a spoon. I would eat with a fork.
Yeah.
There is no knives, so you would. So you use a fork and a spoon.
Yeah.
So the spoon cuts the food, I guess. No, the fork.
You kind of rip the meat off,
You
kind
rip
of.
the meat off, and then you eat it with you put it in your mouth with the spoon. I get why you wouldn't have a knife, because in most cases, I guess you're eating with your hands, so you don't need a knife. You would just rip the food apart.
True.
The problem for me is I've always used a fork and a knife, always.
Okay.
I wouldn't have a spoon at any meal unless you were eating soup.
Okay.
or cereal
Okay,
or
got it.
ice cream.
It's right.
You're right. The hardest part is the spoons are tablespoons.
Okay.
I have tried to use the spoon for my rice, and then you put a little piece of meat on it, or on it with it. It's too much food in my mouth. It's a big tablespoon. I mean, I guess you can put a little bit, but it's hard. So the fork works better for me.
Okay, so
maybe I use a teaspoon.
Teaspoon.
I use a teaspoon, and then it won't be too much food in my mouth. I don't know. But anyways, it's just so much fun trying everything and seeing how
Yep. Every day is
part
a
of the
learning
world
experience.
lives and
Yeah.
what they experience, and it's so much fun.
Good. Okay, so now we're in the car.
Now we're in the car.
The scooters is definitely a culture shock. Every North American would say that. What have you noticed?
The scooters there's lots of them.
Yep.
Some wear helmets, some don't wear helmets. All the scooters are racing to be first. That's what it looks like to us. They're all racing to be first. They go between the cars,
Yeah.
either side.
Yep.
They cut in front. You could have 4 people on it. You could be sitting forward. Someone might be sitting sideways.
Yep.
It's very different. And in KL, they put if they wear a jacket,
Oh yeah, good one. Yeah.
they put it with their arms in like this.
Like backwards.
Backwards.
Yeah.
So that the back is open. And we're thinking this might be because of the heat. Because we don't know, maybe
Like the wind,
the
yeah.
audience would know, or why you wouldn't do it up. Because your back would get
Oh,
too
you get
hot
too
with
hot.
the heat, so they just put their arms in. The back is here.
Yep.
Your back, the rider's back is
It's open. It's a little more breathable.
That's what we're thinking.
Maybe
That's
so.
probably why. And they just go. They are so close to the cars when they go by,
Even on the highway.
and everyone goes fast. And so you have lanes, but then the vehicles can go in the middle lane, and they can go between the lines. They can go they're not in. No one's in their own lane,
Yeah.
right? If there's motorcycles here and scooters here and scooters here, the vehicle, because we've taken many grabs,
Yeah.
will just go down the middle. Like, lines don't mean anything. Pass when you want.
Yes.
It's just, but in saying all that, lots of traffic, but it's always moving.
Yes.
So
Good point.
I guess they found a way to make it work with so many scooters and cars.
Yeah, they've got a different road system. There's not many red lights, a lot of roundabouts.
Oh, yeah.
It's always flowing.
It's always flowing.
It's a big chaos though.
Yes.
To be honest, were you nervous when I was driving? At the beginning, because it looks like chaos.
It does look like chaos. And yes, I was nervous when you started out. Mostly just because of the scooters.
Yeah.
Because even you wouldn't be used to the scooters back home.
What I learned is, like you said, Mom, it's not important to look at the paint on the road or the signs. It's important to look at all the vehicles around you.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a flow to it, and if you're in the flow, you'll be fine. If you start to try and follow the rules too much, you'll be doing the wrong thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's just go with the flow. It's really
Oh,
the
yeah.
style of driving.
And lots of girls riding scooters.
Yep. How about the walking experience? Probably you're gonna say it's super hot.
Oh, it's very hot.
Yeah.
Even right now, it's. I don't
Well,
know.
we're in Indonesia now, but same.
Oh,
same.
sorry. Yes, but it's the same here.
Yeah, same.
It might even be hotter here, but
Yeah.
maybe a bit. But it's like 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's warm.
Yeah.
It's warm. It doesn't change. The only thing that changes is when you're out of the sun, it's much better.
Yeah.
But it's just hot. But I won't complain because I'm going to be going home to the snow and the cold. So I only complain maybe every hour.
Yeah. Maybe so.
I really do, but I'm enjoying it all. I'm enjoying it all. So we're walking in KL now, and we're going to all the little stores along the way. And what I noticed is every storefront has their own front area. They've made it their
Sure.
own, whether it be paved or not paved, whether it be tiles,
concrete or tile, yeah.
concrete. And so every storefront is a different level when you're walking. So so it's hard for me. So you're walking down the street, you're looking in the window. Well, the next minute, you've got a big step down because the next storefront isn't as level to the one that you were just at.
Yeah.
That to me is difficult because you're really looking more about where you're walking than enjoying looking in the stores.
True. Fair. Fair. There could also be like an open hole.
Oh, sometimes there's just
Yeah.
an open hole, and it's like, watch out or you're going to fall in. Now, it's true. Whereas in Canada or in Toronto, where It's all level.
Yeah, fair.
Now you're going to have construction and
Sure.
you're going to have holes, but it's mostly level. I can't imagine somebody in a wheelchair getting around KL.
Fair.
I don't think it would be possible. They can't go on the roads because there's too many scooters and cars. There's no way they can get up and down all these grades. So what do you do as a senior or somebody who's handicapped and you're in a wheelchair? I'm not quite sure
Fair.
what they would do.
By that point, you got to balik kampung back to the village and go back to the
I guess so.
simple life in
I guess so.
the village. Now, what did you prefer, the big city like KL or the kampungs or the small town? Small town have a nice vibe.
Small town has a nice vibe. Looking at the monkeys in the street and the cows and the goats, and that's all new to us too.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen all the animals, but not walking down the street.
Yeah.
They both have different vibes.
Yeah,
So I can't say I like one more than the other.
Fair.
It's all. It's all.
Some positive note to end on.
Some positive note. I knew from watching Steven's videos. Oh, I'm gonna cry. I'm a sap. The older I get, the more.
Oh, Mom, don't cry.
I'm such a sap. Anyways, the people are all so very, 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 very friendly. I knew from watching your videos.
Yeah.
We met some special people. We came here to meet some special people.
Yes.
You know who you are, all of you.
Yes.
People are so kind, so giving. It's amazing.
Don't cry, Mom.
I can remember when we went to have roti canai, which is my favorite food to date. I mean, it's really good.
Yeah.
I have some others, but
Yeah.
it was really
Dengar,
good
ya.
from that restaurant because I've had it since.
Yeah.
And the man at the end just came up and said, "I'm paying for you."
Yeah.
How amazing is that? How amazing is that?
Yeah.
The people are very, very kind. The weather is fabulous because we don't have this. We might have 4 days of this heat, humidity back home. So although I complain it's hot and humid, I'm enjoying it all at the same time.
Probably better than negative 20.
The food is delicious. I love trying all the different foods. I would never ever try them back home.
You really like the squid over here.
I really like that squid with pepper sauce.
Black pepper squid.
At
Terrapuri.
Terrapuri.
Got it.
Terrapuri?
Got it.
Terrapuri Resort. It was really quite tasty, and I like what was the other kind of fish I like?
Dan kita baru saja menyaksikan bagaimana kesaksian jujur dari orang Kanada ini guys ya. Nah, berbagai perbedaan yang telah dia bahas tadi, mulai dari hewan-hewan yang ada yang berkeliaran, ya monyet-monyet juga kambing dan hewan sebagainya ya guys ya yang dia bahas di sini, serta cuaca dan berbagai keanehan lainnya yang dia rasakan berbanding dengan negaranya yaitu adalah Kanada. Apakah itu menyurutkan hatinya untuk lebih menyukai dan mencintai negara Malaysia? Rupanya tidak ya guys ya. Karena perbedaan-perbedaan yang telah dia rasakan, yang baru saja ia kenali, itu membuat hatinya semakin luluh, semakin cinta kepada negara Malaysia. Ini fakta guys, bahwa saya sudah mereaksi banyak dari pengakuan turis-turis selama di Malaysia. Tidak ada satupun mereka yang mengatakan hal yang terkait tentang negatif yang ada di negara Malaysia. Bahkan sebaliknya guys ya, sama seperti wanita asal Kanada ini guys. Ya, jujur, dia mengatakan hal itu dengan sepenuh hatinya. Kita lihat perbedaan itu guys ya. Dan bisa-bisa guys, karena hal ini, dia dapat melupakan negaranya guys. Bahkan dia mulai menangis di akhir video tadi. Kita lihat. Ini adalah pengakuan yang luar biasa karena memang dia perbedaan ini tak pernah dia rasakan. Asia baru saja dia injaki, yaitu negara Malaysia di awal. Kemudian dia pernah masuk negara Indonesia, kemudian masuk lagi ke negara Malaysia guys. Kenapa? Karena dia sudah mulai cinta dengan Asia Tenggara ini. Berbagai hal yang berbeda, cuacanya dan berbagai macam hal yang beda yang membuat dia makin cinta. Bukan makin jauh, namun makin mendekat hatinya dengan negara yang ada di ASEAN ini, terutama Malaysia. Itu kenyataannya. Oke, lagi sampai kita di video aku. Semoga video ini bermanfaat bagi kita semua dan aku mohon maaf jika ada kesalahan kata, kesalahan sikap kepada Anda semua, mohon dimaafkan. Dan aku akhiri, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.